I am hoping out for Canada here, but that might be wishful thinking. We'll have to see, and we'll start seeing here. Maple Treeway will be the first race to bring us into
Canada. Canada with the home field advantage to start off with the Maple Treeway. So I like their strategy. Amazing. Already trying to get the UK spirits down. We're going to see exactly how this plays out.
Now, Maple Treeway, of course, being the standard position pick for first and third place and fifth place at that. With those spots, you're able to take the kind of shortcut that's normally reserved for if you're having shrooms, but the dynamic of having those positions at the beginning of the race let you get a item box in a low spot, giving you a power item, and then using its boost pads to speed you right back up. So still seeing a mix of players up here. UK in fifth and third. Canada, of course, probably projected to not be the winner here. We saw a super explosive start on the UK's behalf with the start of this tournament, and a lot of people weren't expecting that. Calvin, I'm curious, thoughts on what Canada might need to do here and what might be important for them as they look to maybe shut down UK?
I think the key for them, having not played with each other very much leading into this, especially I think like Tyler and Mikey stand out in particular in that they've kind of just showed up at this stage of the tournament, is just kind of getting used to playing around each other. I don't think many of these players really have a lot of experience playing with each other outside of a World Cup setting either. So if you look at a lot of other teams, like USA West, for example, it was like pretty much WZ plus like Sane and Bobby, right? So the core of the lineup has a lot of experience like playing with each other, whereas like right now, Canada all plays on different teams and doesn't cross over with each other very much. I think they need to find a way to like ease into that. Also, I figured I'd make it clear, you know, with Sword on one side, you know, it's coming home and all, you know, you guys and your football chants.
Yeah.
I'm Canadian, so I will be full biased in the other team's favor.
Trust, all good, man. I'm down to have that. That's awesome. Right now, UK seeming to holding up the fort quite well, though. Canada in the mid spots, and I think there is some UK up front. Doesn't seem like there's going to be a shot coming out from the cannon. So potentially seeing one later in the pack, or they might be holding it. Not entirely sure who actually has it at this point. Haven't seen too much from the Baggers this race.
It has been hard to see throughout this race here. We'll see at least some perspectives of the top. It looks like UK has 2-3, and Blue Shell is coming out, so it makes me wonder if is that a UK top 3 we're saying. Either way,
I think so.
Yeah, it's going to be broken up by the Blue Shell.
All race.
It might have been even, Canada maybe trying to catch up at the very end here, but I don't know how successful that's going to be. UK, we talk about, you know, the expectations going into this match. Of course, if we're being honest, I think it looks like they have the edge up from Canada's lack of practice, as Calvin covered, and I think, at least if nothing else, that's the start that Canada can't really be affording with the lesser team. You kind of go into these matches with, I feel like maybe not tilt is the word for it, but prone to feeling disadvantaged. Okay, Tyler coming in third place, breaking that up. Nice Blue Shell to really help enable that.
So the blue did a little damage at the end. That's what you like to see. Getting one top spot to break up a top 3 or a top 4 is honestly such a lifesaver in that, you know, the race is still not in your favor, but I think a raw top 3 or top 4 is not only like so many points in the other team's favor, but also pretty demoralizing. And getting just like a little bit out of the race sets you up pretty well, like going forward. If not even by the numbers, mentally so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure Sword here is happy with the performance of a race one.
Well, I actually, I've been informed that was actually a UK track pick, so it seems like that was potentially a bit of a UK mental game to take Canada to their home turf of Maple Treeway, and then to stir the tides a little bit there. So potentially some really good mind games coming out from the UK right there.
Sometimes you lose at home. Sometimes, you know, the Canadians so polite allows the other team to take it on their home turf and says, you know, this is just the type of people we are. By all means, take the Maple win, and we'll comfortably win on everything else.
This is not a game of politeness, Calvin. You know exactly what the stakes are in this match. One person goes up and will be facing the winner of the previous set, which was I believe Japan. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
In that, yeah. So it's all a fight for who gets to play against Japan here. So the stakes are quite high.
Unlike the cynical, depressed Brits and their, their all clouds and such.
Oh
and
my goodness.
Vitamin D deficiencies, whatever it may be. Politeness always has a place in Canada.
All right, I mean, if you want to politely hold open the door for Team UK to just walk in for the Japanese match and the the semis, then by all means. By all means, man.
We'll see if, I mean, it looks like UK has politely held the door open for Canada to come, at least Sean is. He's just dropping back, letting Jas and Trix overtake him there, it seems. But Jas going to go for the Shroomless. Trix not, I think probably just playing maybe a little bit politely with them. So, ooh, what happened to Jas? I'm not sure. Maybe missing a boost pad or even getting backspin. We weren't able to quite tell, but it will be a POW for Luke going into the second lap.
In second place, POW.
What is that going to do?
Not much of anything, actually. Is that a UK member in first?
I think so.
I think it's Xander, yeah.
Yeah, you get him off there on the little transition to the conveyor.
Top 3 for UK right now. It looks like Jazz with these triple reds behind them, but unfortunately on this track, red's not always something you can get a lot of mileage out of, especially at this section. That one might do a little damage on Sean. No, he's just got triple greens to block it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This ending stretch is probably the best place to use it, but if you can manage to get to these two little parts that stick out by the finish line or the first turn, the reds are just going to be essentially useless. UK looking to just run this. Is there going to be a target shock over the ramp, potentially? No.
We can see that one of the baggers did go forward, I think, but I don't know if that was because they got the wrong item or something. I think, yeah, they do have shock. Someone has shock. We'll see if it comes out anytime soon. I think that's a start coming in for Klein, so maybe something coming up here. Yeah, that's going to be it. That's going to also be the POW, but not a very great chain for Klein, and he's so far behind at this point. Will they be able to catch up at all, really? It's a cluster at the end there, but I don't really think too many spots are changing from what we saw before. UK had top 2 before. I think either going to be able to close out with that or nothing.
All right, it is a rough start for the boys right now. I will admit it is not, not what you wanted to get out of that one. I think we did have one top spot or so, but on UK side, definitely controlling most of the front for the duration of the race. I saw when they were finished up, I think I saw more of Canada in the back from Chaz's perspective. So yeah, that's going to be 2nd and 4th for Canada, but 1, 3, 5, 7 for UK. Everybody's rotating spots, or alternating spots, I should say. But still a race in UK's favor for sure.
Yeah, now with that information, that just screams that it was a Canada shock. Really, they must have known that. They must have known that Klein was really far behind. Wouldn't have had really too much of an impact on the race. I wish we saw the perspective of one of the Canadian racers, but yeah, it looks like that was able to dodge them up because we saw UK so far up there in those top 2 spots for the majority of the race. So
they actually had top 3 at one point. I think Sean was actually cruising in 3rd place. So yeah, I honestly think that just taking the top 3 and just letting Klein to just fend for himself in the back spots would have been better than potentially using a risque shock that would have pulled Sean down and only gave him Klein one extra position. But it seemed to be working quite well in UK's favour there. Canada not really being able to do much leverage with that shock. Obviously, once passing that big jump at the start, not really too much that can be done with the Lightning.
Right. Yeah, that is not going to be something that...
In places where the shot can come in handy and can be fatal. We'll
see how it turns out here, as N64 BC was one of the more standard bagging tracks that baggers like to see. We'll maybe have a vantage point there. I believe we'll have a perspective coming up of the baggers as well, so we can get a better key on that. But for now, the United Kingdom starting off with a red and maybe even a bomb. That might be huge. Yeah, that's a UK bomb in 3rd place. The bomb on N64 BC is, especially at the beginning of the race, is just so deadly and able to break away from packs here generally if you're able to pull that up. But as soon as we say that, this POW is equally deadly to them. Slows down Xander, and Canada at least are going to nullify the effects just a bit of that bomb earlier.
Looks like the UK top 3 is just going to swap places with Xander, opting to take 3rd after that devastating POW. But I honestly think UK's plan here, much like we saw in a previous event, UK versus Germany, the plan was just to run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. We're going to see exactly this strategy come into play. Calvin, what would you say is Canada's best shot here if they were to acquire the shot? What would you do in their position?
I mean, from what we can see right now, it seems like Mikey's holding on to something. I don't know if they have any other dodges in the back. I think your only choice is to chain. If you don't have dodges yet, I think you have to chain early and get people into boxes in the hallway. Looks like they aren't going to be able to do that, though. Because I feel like this last set is often too little too late. We do see Mikey in that star, so he was hanging on to that. I don't know if they have the shock, though, and it might not work out. Klein getting passed up by Jazz, at least.
Definitely have the power, though. That's going to prove to be quite fatal for Klein there. Around the corner
well, we did see something in the back. The bagging duel, they were going past the first kind of turn, right? And I think Canada actually had the lead in 10th place, but they flipped up. They flubbed on the first kind of jump that they needed to go backwards on. They probably hit the wall, and it got them respawned forward. So they're not in 10th anymore. 9th now for the UK. And no one has gotten shock up until this point. So really possible to get a bolt now on first try for UK's Jazz there in 10th. We have the TC as well here. Canada not looking too great, but they're also in 7th and 8th for Team UK. So maybe having some of the top spots up there as well.
Massive fight going on back here for like 5th place, it seems. Massive break between the two packs of the match, as we've got Klein and Luke back here in 7-8 trying to make their way. It's all going to come down to this item set here. And another power for the 3rd time in the same race at the same spot. Never change.
Yeah. We'll see if anything can be doing. Our 3 streamers here in bottom 3 for the racers. Klein isn't going to get an item. There's going to be a star passing. Maybe Jazz able to pass at the end. Yes, able to at least knock him back into 8th. That's at least a, for these kind of matches, every point is going to matter.
That point is going to be important.
It could
Klein,
be at least.
He was just suffering the entire race. I feel like at every turn, Klein was just having a rough go of it. And sometimes that's what happens in the game, Even if your teammates are succeeding, he might be the one guy at the back who's getting bumped around a little more. Still, all around, I think, yeah, just another solid race out of UK. Sean and Xander have always at the front, man, throughout this entire GP. And Canada just can't seem to break it up.
That bomb at the start of lap 1 being the main contributor to that immense break. Canada did manage to pull 3 powers, but they can only target so many of the UK team on that deadly turn at once. So it seems like Luke and Klein got the back end of that. As you can see, yeah, really, really fatal power there, lap 1, but all that really did was allow Xander to drop into 3rd place, which he was able to keep that lead going on forward. No blues.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think maybe there was a blue. I'm genuinely not sure. But with all those POWs, it makes me kind of wish they used one of those for the last turn of N64 BC. I think that's a little bit more of a deadly one there, or at least it has the potential to be. But that being said, Canada occupying a lot of those bottom spots for the majority of the race, they also do just need to be moving up, period, and using every single item box they can to their advantage to be able to get up there. So I think it is ultimately the right call to be able to go with the with targeting where they are. It's still a plenty fun spot. Unfortunately, yeah, that bomb just doing so much damage, and you need a lot more to go for you, especially on that track after that kind of item.
Oh, for sure.
Someone in chat said that bomb pleased the queen.
I mean, I have personal connection. Probably run down the street and go ask her if you want. And she's probably not too far.
Yeah, you guys all live right next to the palace.
Yeah, right.
That's how it works.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go hop on my horse and carriage. I'll be back in 5, right, man?
Right, sounds good. Luke opening with the TC, a rough draw on first box of Moonview, where getting caught at the back can often be really damning if your team doesn't end up getting shot. Xander also finding himself at the back with Klein. So this is a lot of UK and bottom spots looking a little different this race.
It is, but I think one thing worth noting is that they were actually able to pull not only just 1 star, but 2 stars. So we will see. I get to cheat a little bit with the pops I get to see on my end. But
You do. You got stars in your eyes, Erica. I approve. All right, straight away, early stars. I wonder if that's a use to catch up, knowing he might chain another one. No, he gets triple shrooms. Probably not exactly what he was looking for, unfortunately. Top 2 from UK, though, on a very, very front-runner-centric course.
Top 2? Jason's second right now.
All right. No, never mind.
that blue shell we did just hear, though. So I think we're
Yeah,
gonna
well, okay,
see.
that's what I meant.
Right. Yeah, and it will be probably. I think that like at least Jazz being able to get the first place position after that start chain, and that is about as blatant as you can call it. Directly into first, being in such a good position right up there next to first place, an easy first place here for Klein. We'll see if he can hold it, as last lap obviously can still be plenty chaotic here. Jazz having nothing else to offer. Maybe a potential last-minute shock available to the baggers. We'll see who's in last place and if that is able to pan out. But for now, Jazz in fourth place. Mega here. Will they hit the car? They're not going to chance it. They're going to decide to just go ahead and run it, use the Mega, see if there's any shock comes out at the end. But will there be anything? No, they don't quite catch up to Xander. Maybe at the very end. No, not quite. Is going to choose to go wide here. Blue Shell does come out at the end, but it's not going to connect. I don't know who got fourth place there, and I hope for Canada's sake that it was them getting it, because if not, that's a 30-point differential we see after just the first 4 races alone.
That was just too much. I couldn't even process what was going on there. I mean, that's why my brain was scrambled. I ended up getting the top 2 wrong.
All right, well, I'll admit it. Canada, not looking too hot. They need to get their, they need to get it together. 2 through 4, actually, okay. a marker of getting it together. I thought Xander was in fourth. I didn't see Trix come up at the end. That's why I was confused.
Yeah, I didn't see that at all, really. But for Canada to have snuck up like that, good on them. I want to talk about Tyler for a second, which I don't think we got a good chance to talk about maybe beforehand, and maybe that's something that we at the at the analyst desk can maybe talk about. Like, Tyler hasn't really played too much, right? Like, obviously known for contributions in both games, but most especially for Mario Kart 8, and I think was more of a question mark going into this World Cup. More for the sake of, I know Jazz very diligent about filling out their roster, and obviously has been able to play at a very high level before, but I don't think having like the most experience going into this. Canada previously having opted for Zesty as their fourth, but we see that Canada decided to go for Tyler, and look at that. First GP performing remarkably well for their team. I think MVPing, which very, I mean, for me, surprising, just coming off of like having a lineup of Mikey, Trix, everyone. Yeah, very surprising to talk about.
To me, I kind of put Tyler in that same boat as a player like Crusher or Arceus. In that he took a long time off, but always like reached a level in the game and had a level of consistency that I think he's one of those people that can kind of come back to the game and perform at a top level. And it's not too crazy. Not that I like would pick him out of everyone to MVP necessarily, but a player who, no matter how long he takes a break from the game, could reasonably expect to like come back and perform quite well. So I'm glad to see that my mental theory of putting him in the same camp as Arceus is like at least correct. Her being tested across 4 races. As the sample size gets bigger, we'll see if it holds up. But it's definitely looking really good. And I have to say, like, although not that Zesty was a bad player by any means, but I do think Zesty was one of the weaker links in the Canadian team in one of the previous wars, especially in the group stage. And maybe having that presence from Tyler now, who is performing quite well, will be the difference, especially against a team as strong as this one.
Certainly. And we do see Klein with the star here. Some players opt to go for the star cut. We'll see if that's the case. Jazz clean as hell rock hop there. We'll see him take first place. Unfortunately not with triple shrooms for the sake of his team, but will certainly take that one and to go. And we'll see how they can fare for a while here. They certainly, on Grubble Volcano, you can't take any first places for granted. Certainly not, especially with the shock potentially in play. We do see one of the baggers maybe having one of the leads here, but nobody really able to go the furthest back. You typically see baggers drive all the way back by taking a golden mushroom, shrooming off of actually the earlier part of the track where the shortcut is, but I think that bagger is sitting on the mini-map on the bottom right of your screen. Yeah, I was just about to say, having shock, and we do see that Daisy able to make it in first place. I think that's a Canada player, right?
Absolutely a Canada shock, because they dodged Tyler and cut, and then Mikey was in his bill as well. So Tyler gonna be in a strong position. I have to assume, based off of like who took cut and what that shock did and what the mini-map looks like, that's still Jazz, Jazz with an S in first, not UK's Bagger in first. And 3 Shrooms on the side of Luke. He might get a little mileage out of this at the end. It could be what they need to break up Canada's top 2. Oh, yeah, Tyler getting knocked out of top 2 already anyway. UK kind of turning this race around. Klein and Luke just finding themselves at the front at the end. Another shot coming in for Canada. I imagine.
Ends, and that's Canada maybe even getting top. Like, beyond that, Xander able to dodge, but okay. It seemed pretty hectic there, but that cost Luke so heavily, right? And so might be seeing a big race here for Canada.
I think that was 1-4 or 1-3 for Canada.
Yeah, okay.
Because Jazz passed both UK players at the line. That red also did some damage.
Yeah, that red doing a decent bit there. And it looks like it will be... Oh, Jazz actually able... I think to not quite get there, instead getting 2-4. Might have, I had been under the wrong presumption there. Mikey actually being in the back, rather unfortunate for the team. And curious to who got that shock, the second shock there. Might have been UK, considering we saw.
It was absolutely Canada,
okay.
Because I think Jazz dropped a star right at the line, knowing what the play was going to be at the end, and kind of like dropped that star's insurance. And I think off screen, like from our perspective, someone must have picked that up and gave that's what kept UK in first, because I saw a little star get dropped at the end. And
Klein, by the looks of things, I think it came out of Klein. Yeah, so Klein. No, it couldn't have been, right?
No, Jazz had the star and dropped.
Yeah,
Jazz dropped the star. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's the one.
So
I mean,
very, high level bagger play. I gotta be honest. Not a lot of baggers would have the awareness to be in that situation at the end and drop the star like that.
Yeah.
I still think Canada played that race very well. Spent a lot more time up the front as opposed to the previous GP where they've been, loitering in the mid spots and the bottom spots trying to catch their way up. It's a bit unfortunate that Mikey wasn't able to fully. We didn't get to see what happened to him after he dodged in his bill. He might have just pulled absolutely nothing, or whatever he pulled, just not really worth using. But still, keeping them in it, keeping their foot in the door. That's They want to obviously turn it around, but I mean, just keeping the door open and just keeping themselves within it is all that they really need to do, because we've still got 7 races left, and anything can change in the tide of 2 races, as we've seen many times before.
And super important for Canada. I mean, I think what's notable is that they're really keeping up with this lineup that obviously we talk about not having as much practice with. Still faring plenty fine here, so they can at least carry that with them in the races to come here. Now, it's Coconut Mall. Luke able to run with this if they're given the chance to, certainly. And on the other side of the map, we are seeing Klein here with the golden in 7th. So we also seeing UK having 6th and 7th place. That's not obviously the most ideal start for them, but at least that way they're able to rack up some power items. At least nothing from Klein, maybe from Xander's part. That's something we can't see quite yet, but it looks like something. I mean, we could probably expect, them to start using it here to catch up. That mini-map, not the most intimidating mini-map distances we've seen, but certainly not something to be scoffed at, so we'll want to start catching up here.
Coconut Mall not really giving you many opportunities to catch back up with the sheer amount of boost panels and blind turns that are perfect for trapping here. Really good power to have in Sith Coconut Mall. Very, very good to have some powers that can do some massive damage. Going to opt to get most of Canada after the big jump. Managed to pull a really, really nice set here. So it seems like UK is just going to want to cruise with their current positions. I think they're occupying most of the top spots.
And they are. We did see Jazz there having 2nd place, UK having 1st, and maybe Canada having 1 other spot, 3rd place, I think Tricks, but Klein is now going to challenge that, moving up right into 3rd place right next to him. We'll take the wide turn and get the box, guarantee it, that is. But might lose some speed here to Tricks. Does have the triple banana, so maybe drag out and slow him down. And if they can get just that one player, that one Canadian, but that will be a Mega coming out. Who is that from? Someone backspam, not sure, but it might have been Tricks. It might be a UK Mega we're seeing behind. And I think that it will be UK 1-3-4 to wrap this one up. Yep, that's Sean in the Mega, and that will be the UK race to end it. No one getting the bolt there at the end. And I think maybe even a UK getting the bolt there, knowing they can just easily hold it if they were indeed holding on to it the entire time. but not a course that's going to go Canada's way. Jas, the only player we saw up there the entirety of the race. I guess otherwise, other than Trix, but Trix getting back spammed will end the race there for them.
UK is doing such an amazing job of controlling top spots. I think like between their bagging and then their running, they have a chokehold on every race because they get to the front. Oof. Whatever presence that Canada has gets knocked out like pretty early on, and then they get the shock almost every single race. And it's like Canada has no options at that point. There are so few things, depending on the course, albeit, that could change the outcome at that point. You're kind of most heavily relying on UK making running mistakes. But with runners of this caliber, you can't expect that either. And UK just is playing so well at the moment.
There's also the fact that I have been in contact with the Queen, and she did say that she is rooting for Team UK, and she decided to say and to show her support by giving Luke the perfect golden mushroom with the crown on his head at the first step on one of the most run-heavy tracks in the game. Kind of makes it a bit of a no-brainer that it's just going to lean in that direction. I mean, Canada not really pulling the blue, much-needed item to turn the tides around there, not really grabbing that when they needed it. Hopefully this sort of works out a little bit better in their favor. I didn't quite catch where we're going. You two are sort of in the future, really. It feels like you're inside my head feeding me thoughts of what's actually about to happen. I don't know what's going on, but it's interesting.
It's, yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to see Peach Gardens coming up here, and I think that Peach Gardens is a pretty good track for Canada here. That's something that they at least get to what we call a reset track. Reset being, a track where if you have terrible positions, you can easily use the track, how it allows for players to catch up, maybe shortcuts to be able to, really nullify the effects of starting positions. In Canada, we see it here in 2-3, able to get streams at the beginning. I want to talk about Mikey a little bit. Mikey, a man of mystery, really. Someone that has been frequented to kind of go missing in action, MIA every now and then for Team Canada, and we saw that for the group stages of the tournament. Not showing up really and not really giving too much word. Kind of showing up as a miracle really for Canada. Many would think that Canada don't have a chance without him, but not really performing quite well here at 6 points in the second GP. And we'll see how long maybe it takes for Mikey to warm up and have that X Factor effect that we know he really can have.
Yeah, very old, seasoned veteran player who actually very notably, Wheel main, I believe, way back in the day, one of the most prominent online, and actually made the switch to a standard controller. And he's able to show that he's proven his worth with both control schemes, so I have massive respect for the guy.
Jazz going for the respawn shotgun play, jumping off right before boxes, respawning in fully grown Funky Kong form, and grabbing a star. This is kind of interesting because UK's top two is just quite far ahead, and I don't know if Trix and Jazz really have what it takes to catch up at this point. You're not going to get a lot out of third and fourth place boxes with this sort of gap between third and top two. Trix going to fire off that red. Hopefully it connects on Klein.
There's no way. There's the Monty moles and everything in the POW. No, wait!
Looks like it broke on the last turn.
Okay, wow, that actually made a distance, but a really kind of intelligent shock play you don't actually see too often. And obviously the circumstances that enable you to do that and use that shock are so, it's such a specific place and requires such a right setting for it that it's not used too often, but I think used very well in that case. It lets them catch up. Of course, they could have gotten really unlucky and gotten a blue shell or some non-shroom item, non-speed item to chain that, which would have been very unfortunate for Jazz, but getting fortunate enough to catch up, it also lets Trix catch up just from the little, the people in bottom positions growing up from being shrinked from the shock a little bit earlier than the top positions. So it did allow them to close the gap and very close that red shell. If it did connect, what a play that really would have been to help it enable that. But either way, still after 7 races, not the race you want to be seeing if you're Canada. But still not not the most defeating. This isn't a set let's say between like, this isn't game 2 between US East and Norway, where Norway got absolutely decimated, I think, by 120, and certainly not the note that brings you high-spirited into the next game, but it's certainly not that, and it's more something that I feel like Canada are able to see the small mistakes in, or maybe just able to see, like, yeah, the small pieces that they can do better, and helps warm them up into performing maybe a little bit better going into game 2 if game 1 is lost, which it isn't, not quite yet, but UK have been doing so well, and we're going to see a DDR pick coming out from them. We'll see if it lands.
What I really, really love about the best of 3 format is that you can use the way that your opponents are playing, and you can kind of adapt your game strategy around it, potentially your track votes as well. You can see what the other team are doing, because in the earlier Cs that we were seeing, sometimes one team would just run away with it straight away, and you're so defeated and your morality is just so shot that you just can't really make the comeback. So Canada, like you said, keeping themselves in it, all they really need is a big race, right? Like a top 3-5 or like a top 2 4-6 4-5. That'll do it. Bring them straight back in it.
It will absolutely. I guess it's just, you know, asking for that kind of race is rather difficult against, especially Team UK. But we do have GC and Mario Circuit coming into play. I think this is a Team Canada pick, as 5 DDRs coming out on the behalf of, I think, what was Team UK. But either way, a golden in 5th for Luke. So nice for them. We'll have to avoid this. Yeah, TC, okay, that's from their teammate Xander, so not too much fear about that, but we'll have to start using it and try getting ahead as much as possible. That is tricks that they will be able to pass in 3rd, and a teammate in 2nd, and now Jas as the final boss here for Luke. Oh my goodness.
Jas.
What
Jas.
a snipe. I think he might have even tried avoiding that snipe too, right? Drifting off to the right, yeah.
Yeah, that is like the next level of mind games, right? Because there's this like layer of like, what is the standard place and the standard line to like make that play, and then what's the next level to understand that Jas is a good enough player to avoid it and read that he's gonna go wide. I really like that, because it's rare that you get to see that, and it's only when you reach this level of play where players start making those sort of decisions.
We'll see how it pans out here for the two teams. I do think that's a mega for, yeah, Tyler coming up. They're going to have to be rushing here. I think that's UK with top 3. Jas hoping for the best. Golden is maybe the best. You can't ask for. Gets the POW dodge as well, and that is perfect for him. Hops into 3rd, but I think that POW did a lot of damage to the remainder of the Canadian team. We saw at least one UK member right behind Jas, and maybe not the race they asked for.
I'm just hoping to see something a little surprising maybe on the results screen. I would like to see a few more Canadians and a few more top 5 spots. But other than Jas right now, it looked a little dark for the team towards the end. We had a lot of like front perspective. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's not going to be good. That's just like an easy top 2 and then followed by a load of 4-6 behind that. I mean, Canada's just giving me no ammo to talk shit right now. My clip is empty, and I am simply at Tom's mercy at this point.
I mean, you were just on about how polite you guys are and all that stuff. I mean, I think you're just being a little too polite. There's a difference between being polite and being taken advantage of, and I definitely think that Canada's being too warm of a house guest, and the UK's just ravaging all the cupboards and having absolutely anything they can get their hands on. But it's like you said, though, Jas up the front, the lone sole boss. We didn't get too much of a perspective from the mid-pack of that race, so we don't really know what was going on in the midst of the other Canadian races. But unfortunately, like you said, UK just getting to the front and just taking everyone out and just holding those top positions in the chokehold. And even though Jas was able to avoid the POW and make it work for himself, I do believe, like Eric said, it just completely annihilated the rest of the team and just allowed Xander and Sean to just creep up into the higher spots.
Yeah, it's Xander and Sean, like for all they've been talked up, have absolutely lived up to every single expectation so far. There's almost never a moment where I don't see them contesting top 5 spots. It's actually really, really incredible. And then they're just being backed up by Luke and Klein, who Luke, just like this legend of time trials, who's also brings that level of competence and driving to wars. And then on Klein's side, someone who is a pretty diverse player who understands the game, I think from like a really unique perspective, having become like a very good bagger in his own right, knowing how to play the mid pack, and then also knowing how to play from the front. So this UK team is just it's just so balanced, and Canada really struggling to find their way in. Like really, their best races basically, you know, are just mitigating the damage of UK rather than like any top twos, top threes, top fours that swing the war in their direction.
Well, the best race we saw from Canada's end up until the very end was GV, but just towards the midst of lap 3, the UK again just showing that they're not afraid of, you know, claiming that title of being into the finals against Japan. So it's all going to come down to this. Very prominent players in this room who can do the Ultra and the regular cut, so maybe this is the turnaround point, the reset that Canada needs. Some very prominent drivers from the UK on this track though, and as you can see they're more than happy to just go off and not even bother taking the cut, as you've got Klein now in first with a Shroom.
I don't think that Mega is actually going to... I don't know if that was a Daisy we saw in first. They slowed down, though. Who was that they got? It might have been Team UK that they got with that blue shell. Yeah, so that actually ended up working out in Canada's favor. I don't think that was intentional on Jass's behalf, but very lucky there that it worked out.
This is a...
Very close pack for a BC3 race, wouldn't you think, guys? I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, how are we this, like, after lap 1, after how many people took the cut? Oh my goodness, Jass failing, Luke
failing, okay, yeah.
Just a disaster, honestly. Trix finding himself in first by, like, a large margin. He comes out on top. It's so funny, as we're talking about how close the pack is, now it's the complete opposite. It is so... Like, Trix is so far away from Klein, and then Klein and Xander, honestly, with an enormous lead on Mikey, too. So the race is just super split up. Canada has to focus, I think, on at least getting, like, 4-5 at this point, because Xander and Klein are going to be, like, tough to break. Xander hitting the wall, likely, because of the POW or the Thwomp, I couldn't really tell. And Klein, with the Shroom, probably setting himself up to do a really quick cut again if Trix doesn't block it.
Now, I wonder really if they will block it. It's interesting, right? Because they do have 2-3 there. And of course, the golden and 6 here for Jazz can be huge. Tyler slows down for Ultra, but they actually call it. Yeah, that's going to be UK getting the shotgun them to target them. But Jazz bold here, going to go for the Shroomless. It's all or nothing here, and he makes it. Now, that will save him just a little bit of time. He needs every single second he can get. But that will be, nonetheless, Jazz able to move up into 6th here. Triple Reds behind him, and that's going to at least be, well, it for Canada. 6, 7, 8, I think, to round that off.
Oh, someone on UK fell off. Oh, but Tyler also got bumped off or fell off, it looks like. So Jazz getting second, passing someone from UK last minute.
6th, yeah.
But then Tyler fell off. I'm not sure who from UK fell off. But that was like a weird change at the end where Jazz was almost absolutely going to get 8th place, and then it just weirdly, you know, I wouldn't even say worked out because it's not that much of a difference at that point. Trix, his lead was unstoppable at that point, but UK getting every spot behind him. Very unfortunate for Canada right now. I think at this point, you know, you're about halfway through, but the margin you're down by is pretty difficult to come back from against a team of this caliber. And I think you have to just focus on like mentally resetting for the next war. At least that's what I would try to be focused on. Like, play this out, see what information you can glean from it. Don't worry about winning, and focus on like engaging, you know, or rather initiating some sort of plan built out of this war in the second.
It seemed like that race was almost just a complete reversal of what we saw in Moonview Highway, where UK got first with Klein and then Canada managed to get 2, 3, 4. That was literally the opposite, with Trix getting 1 and then UK getting 2, 3, 4. So it seems like those two races just balanced each other out. But like you said, at this point, I wouldn't say it's a lost cause, but it's definitely not looking too hopeful. Definitely should be focusing more on the idea of just, you know, shaking it off, taking the next one in its stride. I mean, this race was all kind of topsy-turvy. I mean, you had these really unfortunate shortcuts failures from both of these two players, but obviously you know, in a position of hurry and angst where they need to get going as quick as possible. They can't afford to be waiting there. Really bold play from Jazz to do this streamer shortcut. Unfortunately, as you can see from the minimap, the pack's just too far spread, so it didn't really work out too much for him.
It really did not. And I think, yeah, just to echo what we've been saying here, it seems like the attitude ought to be less focused on these races for what they are and the results of it, but what are those lessons you can glean? And I think, yeah, turning inwards a little bit for the Canadian roster. I know they were considering, like, yeah, who is our fourth going to be? The conversation might have been, is it Zesty or Tyler before? I think Tyler has more than proved their worth.
I actually think, just based on the results that I've seen, I think you sub in Kyle.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think he would be phenomenal to bring in at this point. But now, who would they sub is my question.
Yeah, who would be the person to come out? Because honestly, like the way Tyler would be the first name that comes to mind of the four, I would say. But he's performing really well, like relative to the team, right? And I think, you know, Jazz. You know, it's crazy that I want to say it, but I actually feel like if you were to go off of just performance thus far, it would be Mikey.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing, Mikey.
Although,
yeah,
like we've seen nothing but bad instances from him, like him pulling the cloud on N64 BC, like him dodging in the bill and not getting anything from it. I don't know. Like I agree, it might be a good idea to potentially consider the sub out, but it could be anyone. It's just a coin toss at this point because it's all just down to circumstantial luck. Like right there, Mikey doing massive damage on Climb, putting him back there, and Mikey climbing up to top spots.
Yeah, I do think it's a weird thing where, like, if you were to judge solely on this, it would not be a very, you know, well-founded argument for who to sub out and who to sub in. The probably the best play is, like, rather than to risk anything, it looks like two UK and Canada Dodge.
Okay, it's a pretty new.
I have to assume that was UK Shock with their top spots.
Yeah.
Possibly, but the back green at the line really not doing Sean any favors. They're only really losing a bit of pocket change over that in the back spots there.
Yeah, not really too much of an effect. Yeah, at this point, like, I think it is an interesting conversation, and I don't think, well, from what we were seeing in DDR, there wasn't anything too drastic in Canada's favor that was seeming. They quite literally need, like, that, like, see, 1-3-4 is the thing, is just, it's not, like, it's a good start, but it's not good enough by itself. I mean, I don't know the biggest comeback we've seen on this kind of stage, but, you know,
I definitely appreciate that they're still trying, you know, they're still putting it in, they're still giving it all, but like that, definitely, like that race is a good race, but it's not the kind of race you want to see on race 10. That's the kind of race you want to see on race 5. That's the thing. They're already quite knee deep in, you know, point deficit that they need to come back from, and UK not really giving them much breathing space to make these changes happen.
It's 66 with 2 to go, so it's not, you know, mathematically over, but it's, I would say in practice, it's over.
It's true. Alternatively, I can head down and talk to the Queen, and, you know, we could arrange something. She might be rigging it a little bit too much.
She's paying a lot of people off right now.
She is, absolutely.
Fair enough, fair enough. If Team Canada is on the Queen's dime right now, it's a large paycheck. I am sure. So with what we have seen so far, I think we have to realistically look at this second war and think about, like, because like I said, I thought this was going to be 2-1. I did not expect it to be quite so dramatic in the point disparity. Do you guys think Canada has a shot at the second war right now?
Absolutely. They're keeping in it. Like, there's no complete top 5, top 4 domination going on. They're having a lot of exchanges within mid-pack. I honestly think they're just getting the rough end of the stick right now. It's like me holding out a bunch of straws and saying pick a straw, and you pull the short one. So does that make you any worse than anyone else? Like, UK holding the top spots and getting a lot of their track picks that they need to perform these runs.
Yeah.
But let's just say that Canada starts getting more of their votes. They have one good race where they get, you know, top 3, 5, 7 or something, and they get the next track pick, and, you know, Sparta is able to pull the shock. that's all they need. Just a simple race like that, and it's all just going to come down to momentum. Whoever's got the momentum rides off it. And in this war, unfortunately, UK with the really strong race at the start, with the fatal N64 Bowser race, where they just had a death grip over Canada, they were able to just run with that.
And also, I just want like Klein's performance here in destroying all of Canada with triple reds. I think even getting tricks off the ramp in like 7th on the first lap, and yeah, doing a real unfortunately for Jasper's red to actually go past, kind of lag past Klein there, but it ended up doing, yeah, Klein able to do a phenomenal job for their team. Now Canada have the onus of making sure they really catch up here with any items they get, but I don't think they actually even get any. It's only UK we really see from this perspective of being the ones to catch on up. And now I think only Tyler up here in 2nd place, the remainder of Canada behind Klein.
This could be all right if Canada has the shock, right? It's such a powerful tool on this first section of the track, where even if UK has all these top spots, the pack is certainly tight enough if Canada has dodges on their side to make something happen. Jas chaining a single shroom, certainly not what he wants to see. You know, at the very least wants, 3 mushrooms. Mikey dodging, Tyler getting shot in the box.
Okay, that's huge. Yeah.
Jas finding a box, and Trix finding a box as well. Jas's pull's absolutely awful. You have to be counting on Mikey and Trix to pull something here. And Luke and Sean still in top 2.
I think they both had stars as well. The blue shell does come in. He's going to try slowing down to avoid it. Sean does take that wide line, but that's going to be Luke out of there. Canada in 2nd, but no one else from Canada. I actually don't. Yeah, it had to have been a UK shock, I suppose. Sorry, Canada shock.
What happened to Mikey?
I don't know. He dodged into star. He chained. I don't know. We simply just cannot tell from here.
Maybe he pulled a single red in 7th, much like his Canadian brother Jas. That's what I mean.
Mikey dodged in a star and took double in like 4th. What happened to Mikey? Why? Because we were like, oh yeah, well, Mikey's gonna be the saving grace of Canada this race.
And he gets.
And then all of a sudden we swapped to top 2, and it's a UK with 3 of top 4 spots, and Canada's only person is Tyler. It made 0 sense. I need Mikey's perspective for that one.
Well, not something they thought would have happened with the bolt. And yeah, we saw, of course, Luke there slowing down to try to let Sean try avoiding it, going wide, and at least able to, it seemed like for Canada, maybe able to build something off of that blue shell, but yeah, nothing really to be done there at that point, especially if Mikey's not able to help there. We go into race 12 with no better hopes here for Canada, at least for this war. That is, I think, confirmed the match win for Team UK, and they're riding pretty comfortably, I would say, right? It's nothing we've seen too intimidating for the British side here for them to be too concerned about. We've seen a performance for Canada that, Calvin, you mentioned earlier, is just really grasping at trying to mitigate damage more than anything. DK Mountain, I think, yeah, picked by UK here, but we'll see if they are able to really bring it together and at least have a decent showing here. I wonder what that Canada call sounds like right now.
I know what the UK call sounds like. It's coming home. It's coming home. However it goes.
Look, listen, we're not all just sitting around the campfire having a nice pint, talking about how much we like drinking tea. All right, like we've definitely got our thinking hats on. We're trying our best. I'm sure they're strategizing as to what they want to do in the next race. But I mean, like, honestly, I want to give a massive shout out to Jas. Honestly, like, really helping out Team UK there, definitely not going unappreciated, but maybe by some unrecognized. To my understanding, the reason why Mikey didn't make it in that previous race is Jas dropped a star from the Canada Shock,
right,
which was picked up by a UK player. That's how the UK got the top 2 at the end. And that star was what ended Mikey. So, like, even though Canada are getting these shocks and making it work for them, you've got Jas, who's actually doing massive damage just by dropping, items on the ground that help out Team UK massively.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think he's kind of the unsung hero of this team, where they have a lot of like flashy names in their pack of runners, right? But almost, most of the shocks have been in UK's favor, and then like Delfino, all the situations where Canada gets a shock, Jazz is often finding ways to assist in just other ways lower level baggers would not be. So that's really, really impressive to see. This track, absolutely brutal once you get a break and start leading with it. This is a UK top 4 right now.
Yeah.
Now,
at this point, I don't really know what Canada can pull. I mean, having all of UK up top, great, but they might choose to opt to slow down their fourth just to get them with Canada in case that shock does come, or they might just think, whatever, let's just run it. It's all good. We got this.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, if they had shock, that would have been perfect, but
yeah.
TC, not what you like to see if you're Jazz. That is going to require massively speeding up to Sean, which on these turns you might be able to pass it off to him.
Reds in fourth, though. Going to need to get really lucky with this hitbox collision here. Just, yeah, he did what he could have done in that situation. Honestly, if UK had top 4 there and Jazz was holding the shot, it's just a GG on DK Mountain. There's not really much of anything you can do. There's no major shortcuts you can take. Shrooms are really hard to use. Maybe a fatal POW. Shot coming in really, really late there. Not really going to be doing too much for Canada. Too little, too late. Tricks managing to steal that point, but unfortunately, yeah, UK just taking that one home.
That, I think, will be the match here for Team UK. It was confirmed before, but nonetheless, hats off to this UK side that has showed their dominance throughout it. I think Canada... That is just, not the way you want to end that one.
It is. It's coming home.
I think you're confirmed. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Canada can surprise us, but just off that performance alone, it is not looking good for Canada at all.
I want to talk more about what you were going on about with the swapping of the player. Like subbing someone out, or possibly 2 people out. If you're in Canada's position right now and you have that performance where honestly no one really anchors in that, like there was no one. I wouldn't say there was anyone who was a weak link of the team, but some obviously unfortunate circumstances. Maybe if a player was to agree and be like, "I'm not on the top of my game today. This isn't it. I'll step out." Absolutely, but in your opinion, do you think we're needing to see a sub out? Are we needing to see a player swap?
I guess if I'm actually, if I actually had to make the call, I would probably tell the lineup to stay in. Because it's not obvious who on the bench should go in. It's not obvious who should come out. And also, I feel like Canada's main weakness is like not finding their footing as like a collective. Because you pointed out, right, there wasn't anybody who was like the weak link by like some wide margin.
Well,
and I think with that in mind, you have to play, you kind of have to ease into it and like get into the groove as a group. And maybe just playing that first war, you could call it the warm-up war in a way and be like, all right, well now we need to focus and like play together for 2 and 3.
What do you think, Iric? How are you feeling about this? Would you sub someone out?
I think there is something to be said about, being able to use the best of 3 to kind of recover. The nature of it allows you to more easily have that mental reset than in the middle of a match. And especially like if you have players like Mikey that are, coming back from going a little MIA, like that is maybe exactly the kind of thing that they needed to be able to perform in the first place. It's a tough decision if you're the leader of Team Canada. I know that's a dialogue that is hard to even just have with your team of like saying, hey, I'm sorry, but we have to sub you. That's always like not the easiest thing unless you're very well connected and very, practicing a lot. And maybe for a team that's like less doing that, it's a little bit even more the case. But even, just the idea of subbing someone out, like especially like, we were talking about Mikey, maybe that's a hard call. So with that being said, I think, I think we'll have it to our analyst desk to really be able to talk about, basically the match, the set, and what's going to be happening soon. Is we're going to take a break here coming up. But in just a few seconds, we'll have our analyst desk to take it away. We'll see you guys soon in Game 2 for more. But thoughts from the desk, we'll get them soon.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the analysis desk, and what a game one we've had. We've seen a lot of good plays from both teams. I'm joined, by the way, by Wally, the Charge Brigade's leader. How do you do, Wally?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course. So, from the bat, we saw UK taken off into the top spots, and we saw a lot of that throughout the war. Just want to get your thoughts on how you think the war went in general.
Yeah, I mean,
think the war went in general.
They controlled it from the beginning and just never let up to that control, and it was really hard for Canada to kind of find footing in the front. Any time that they would get up there, they would just immediately get knocked down, and then when UK had it, they just put a stranglehold on top three. They had some great schlagging moves coming out from Klein, and they just were able to hold on to it, and Jazz definitely got the better of Sparta overall. So when you have Shock and you've got the front, it's hard for Canada to come back in situations like that, especially on some of the courses that we saw, such as Moonview Highway.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I heard from Calvin in the during the war was like that UK kind of had a foothold, a chokehold, sorry, over both front spots and the bagging duel. And as you said as well, it does make it very difficult for Canada to be able to just change things up from that, because we saw a lot of situations where UK just, Klein, as we see coming up here, yes, Moonview Highway. Okay, so this one, yeah, this was when Klein pulls the star, and he just holds this, just holds it. And this is where Jazz getting the shock was really beneficial, because it allowed Klein to just be able, as we see here, just to dodge straight up. And he picks up the star there, so that kind of runs further into first place.
Yeah, and looking at this clip, down. I also find this funny, because Jazz does drop a shroom up here as well, but Klein actually hit, I think it was at least one, but maybe 2 cars on the first lap or 2, and it somehow still gets a star all the way up to 5th. So there was a lot of damage going on throughout that entire race to allow Klein to even be in that position in the first place. So really good job from UK, and then also from Canada for like being able to actually hold remotely top spots for a little bit and just kind of work their way back into the race, just to ultimately get shocked out of it from Jazz. And really great job from Jazz. I think Jazz did a lot of controlling from a bagging perspective, which just allowed some relief on the UK runners to do what they do best, which is just drive really fast and just break away from people.
Yeah, it cannot be understated how much use Jazz was during like the times when the shocks happened. Like the last shock here kind of nullified the Reds a little bit, but luckily Klein was able to avoid getting out of first by picking up Spart's star at the end. That was a really hectic end to GV actually. Like we saw Jazz, at the start he took the rock hop lap 1, got a lead, but with the UK taking the cut at the end, it kind of switched plays around. And yeah, like those Reds, if it wasn't for that star, I think Canada would have got first. But yeah, I think just overall situational things just kind of went UK's way more, as we see like here as well on BC3. The shock happened to prevent Canada taking the cut. Jazz managed to take the ultra still, but it kind of nullifies Canada's movement up to the front.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is when you can control the shock that way, you don't have to worry about these situations. You don't even have to dodge the shock. You can just run these sorts of interference shocks that prevent people from taking the cuts. And especially on a track like BC3, you don't see as many people when they have a star like, let me just take the shroomless cut unless it's blocked. So you don't really see that. So you typically see them looking for shrooms to take the cut, as it's much easier and much less risky from the standpoint of actually making it across. And Jazz does take the shroomless after, but I mean you can just see Sean and Luke, I think it is, or no, Luke's on the right there. I think it was Sean and maybe Klein, or Sean and Xander, and they're just so far gone in the top spots there, along with I think Trix, who was also super far up in the front as well. And when you have those situations and you have the luxury of being able to use a shock for situations like this, I mean, it's just it's very telling. I mean, we saw it in the score, and we saw it just in each race, UK having control of top spots. That's exactly what you should expect when you have that much control on a match. So they really played very well across the board.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, just overall, Canada need to find a way to have more front presence and take more control over UK when it comes into the second match here, because right now, if it keeps going on this way, I think UK are just going to walk away with an easy 2-0.
So then let me ask you this. So from the Canada perspective, I know they talked a little bit about it on stream, and so I don't want to rehash too much of it, but do you think this is a time where a sub needs to come in for Team Canada, or do you say, these people, we played the first match, we had some good things going for us, we keep moving forward the same lineup, or do you think they look to a substitute that could grant them potentially more front presence?
See, with Canada's current lineup, we all know how much that they can have front presence and really good front presence, but it just didn't seem to work out for them. It just felt like one of those wars where things just didn't go their way. It's a tough one for me to call because the potential sub that I would make, I would probably try and bring in Kyle personally, because I know he has always been a player that has loved being in the front more than anything else, and he could help provide that for Canada. But it's just a case of who would you then sub out, as we heard on the stream. It's a very difficult question, and I'm sure that the Canada side are currently going over things. I'm not sure if they have actually made any substitutes.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough spot because, you know, Kyle can help grant that front presence for sure, and I don't think you can sub out Jas or Trix, so it would fall down on Mikey or Tyler Schwam. So both of those bring different things to the table in general if you were going to make that substitution. So you have Tyler Schwam being able to use Daisy, able to take the big shortcuts with Daisy, and you have Mikey, who's a very veteran player. He's played for a long time. He's played at the top for a long time. I know he's been making some switches with, he finally got rid of using the wheel, and then he was using nunchuck for a little bit, and then he went back to wheel, and I think he's back on nunchuck again. So, you know, is the risk of his constant controller switching something that makes him a little more inconsistent, as well as overall not playing the game nearly as much, or do you go and trust that veteran status that he has from playing the game for as long as he has at that top level, as opposed to, you know, the Daisy influence that Tyler Schwam has? And I think it's a tough call if you're Team Canada to be able to just pull a trigger in the first place to say we do want to make a substitution, and then two, to get rid of one of those at all. I think it's a tough call no matter what.
Yeah, that's very true. I have a feeling that Canada are just going to go with the same lineup. I'm not sure who's me's or who, honestly. I've been out of the game for a while, so I can't figure that out myself. But yeah, I mean, either way, we've got to hope to see, on Canada's perspective at least, and if you're cheering for Canada, that's what you want to see. You want to see them getting into the front more and taking more control in situations where we haven't quite been able to see them do yet.
Absolutely. I know anyone that was on the stream last night will probably think I sound like a broken record at this point, as far as just really saying who's gonna be able to like get to the front, is gonna control that match. So with all 10 in the room, what are your predictions for match 2?
My predictions for match 2, I think that UK are going to continue playing well. I think things are still going to go their way. I think it's going to be closer without a doubt, but I think UK are just going to edge it by under 20 points.
Under 20.
Yeah. What's your prediction, Wally?
I agree. I do think that this is going to end up a 2-0 in UK's favor. I think UK is probably going to have, you know, a similar story. I think they're going to go by 40. I think
by 40
is what UK is going to take it by. I don't see the bagging, you know, change too much between Spart and Jazz. So unless Spart gets a few more shocks at 9th that helps carry Team Canada, or Jazz gets unlucky pulling more bills, I think we're going to see more of the same.
Okay. And with that, it's been Wally and Stevens here on the analysis desk. We're going to take you back into the swing of the action, back to the casters of Eirik, Calvin and Sword. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this plays out. Enjoy match 2, everyone.
Thank you, Jake, and Wally for your guys' take. We'll go ahead and get this one started here with 10 players in the room. We, of course, heard the same apprehension that maybe we had about seeing if Canada would do any better. But I don't know. It seems like the tail seems to be going in UK's favor, surely, on all sides of it. And now it's really up in Canada's court if they want to have any kind of response. Calvin, Sword, how are you all doing? Anything? Did the toilet do anything to change your minds on how this might go?
I got to think you know, I had some time to myself to kind of recoup from the mental damage that first war did to me as a Team Canada fan, and I think I'm ready to spectate, to commentate this next one. I'm ready. You know, the politeness perhaps out the door now. I think you know, that's enough of that. We handed the UK one to make sure that their self-esteem remains intact, but this is where we regain our ground and start the comeback, I think.
This is where I'd normally be inclined to agree with you, you know, as we're good buds and all that, but unfortunately, even the stream was playing Spice Girls music during the downtime. So, like, I mean, if that isn't saying that UK is going to take it, I don't know what else will, man. No. Real talk, I definitely want Canada to do their absolute best to do a really good showing. I would love to see a third game. I absolutely would. Going purely off of how the previous war went, it doesn't seem likely. However, that's not to say that Canada can't change it around. Like I said before, it's all about just turning the tides in your favour. If they have one good race with good spots and they get the next track pick and they pull Shocks in 9th and they're able to, you know, run with that, you know, give Canada a bomb in 4th on the third turn of 64 BC. See how that turns out, you know?
We have to...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would like to think that there were some things that did go in UK's favor that could just as easily have gone the other. We'll see if they do get that bomb, if they do get that red shell, that blue shell, whatever they really need to equip themselves as we get ready for our race 1 here. Let's hear in the chat, who do you guys have winning, or maybe who do you guys have just supporting? Regardless, I think Canada could use every bit of your strength, and UK could use certainly your reassurance that it is indeed coming a la casa. We'll see if it will be DDR or no, it will be N64 BC to start this one off as we go ahead and get this one underway. Y'all, this is going to be a good one, we do see. And we'll see if Luke is able to start this one off well for their team.
Spice.
I just read that too.
That is it. That is what I want to see, yeah. If you say it's coming home, you're officially now supporting the Commonwealth, and Canada will absolutely profiteer off that chant. If you're a UK mate, it's going to be a Spice Girls chant from now forth. I was going to say Jas in a really prime position here, but Luke, unfortunately, pulling off the draft on a track that he holds the record on, and he has very good experience with the lines. UK going to do their usual shenanigans of pulling ahead early. Gonna investigate the swamp there, just make sure if it is solid. It turns out that it is, no big deal. We did see Canada pull, what, 3 POWs on this turn in the previous war. Maybe they can utilize that item a little bit differently if they do pull it. I think you mentioned the last turn's a bit of a fatal one.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll see if they can, if they do get the POW, how they use it maybe around that last turn. That red shell, thankfully for Luke, not going quite to him, or maybe not thankfully, because nice snipe on Luke's part, because that red was able to connect with a UK member, but Luke able to make up for it, and incidentally just running into the wall there. So I think Canada, for the first time, I think we're seeing them, or one of the few times we've seen them in top 2, having any top sequential spots, let alone top 2-4. Notable as we have our players continued second lap here.
For what it's worth, unfortunately for Canada, I believe UK already has the shock. Jazz beat Spart back on the initial strat and got the shock at like 35 seconds. So it's been firmly in UK's control for a while now, and we'll kind of see how they end up deciding to use this, because Canada with more front control than they really had even the entire first war, but now the shock in UK's possession, and that's like their main method of getting back into the race. The pack has split a lot for what it's worth, but all the same, that item so powerful is UK's opportunity to change things around.
Yeah, we've got a lot of UK players in the mid-lower spots at this point. I'm assuming that's Sean in first with the break. Opting to use the POW here. No power items coming out from any of the UK players here, so potentially a very, very late shock to see those UK players to climb to those top spots, but obviously have to be careful that Canada can predict that.
There will be a blue shell hold on to. Oh, not for longer. That's going to be a bomb on Luke. He must have been totally fine with that, I think, if, you know, knowing he had the blue shell wasn't going to do too much damage. Now it's Klein coming up in 5th place We'll see what it's doing for them, and it will be a shock for them coming out last set. What will the result be of this one? Canada does have 3-4, and if Klein can't do anything about this, they will be losing to start this one off, but that's a TC for them. Perfect pull. Will they be able to outline? No, but they pass it to Tyler, who I think will be able to nab second, just barely because of that. And Canada starting off strong.
That was a nice. Wait, was Canada not in first?
I think no. You're not telling me that, Mikey. I might have missed that completely then.
Hold on. I feel like I need to see the results come up because I feel like I'm missing something here. Maybe I'm just getting conflicting information.
No, I think you're right.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
No, you're not right. You're not right.
Someone in chat said that Sean got first, and I was like, "There's no way." Like, how did I miss something that big? But thank God the race works out cleanly for Canada. I think that Shock, an attempted TS, but what it really did was get Canada in high spots, albeit into boxes, getting items that managed to keep themselves in the top spots behind first place. Klein, the only one navigating the situation at the end, and unfortunately passing the TC when he doesn't want to. A rare circumstance where you really want to hang on to it.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a night and day transition from the first N64 BC race we saw in War 1 versus that much better showing from Canada. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say in regards to, like, there was a lot of mid-pack exchange from Luke taking out a lot of Canada's players. Might not have been the best play. Kind of pushed them into the back and allowed them to get all of those lower spots so that when the shock did come, they were able to chain into that last set and just nab those ending positions in the way that they did. I don't know what happened to Sean. I think that might have been myself that actually said that Sean was early on, but then again I was going off of what I think I read earlier, but my bad. Where are we heading now? TF, I believe, right?
TF
not
is
too sure.
Indeed the call here. Good spot. This is a good pick for Canada, right? Because they have top 2-4 having fourth place, being able to draft up on first place. You're generally able to see some success with that, and further getting into those top spots. TF, of course, if you're able to start in top spots and hold on to them for the first lap, even the first half of the first lap, you're generally able to see very good positive results holding them for the rest of the race. That said, I do think Jazz hold the Thundercloud in third place is going to go down. Or not. I think using the star or something. No, that does go down and it just takes the hit after the item boxes will go down. But that bomb is not going to connect either way. Klein with the Bill in 7th. And Calvin, maybe you can speak to a little bit how the effect of the Bill and holding it, what the importance of that is for the bagger in general, and maybe even especially for TF.
Yeah, absolutely. So on this track, right, the baggers who traditionally start racing backwards immediately actually move forward, giving people an opportunity to get the Bill in a lower position, because you're way more likely to get it in 10th and also slightly more so in 9th than like 8th or, I think it might be possible in 7th. No, I don't think so. It's just 8 and down. So they move forward to give their teammate the Bill. Also, besides giving your teammate a powerful item, you're also putting them in a spot where 9th and 10th now have a better chance of getting the shock in either position. A dodge coming out from for UK, a UK shock, 2 people dodging. I think it was Sean and Klein. This is going to be...
And Luke, he was in a Mega as well, and there was 3 UK members dodging, I believe. Luke used the Mega.
Just at the end of lap 3, too. Even a blue doesn't really swing this at this point. UK has to make some massive mistakes here for this to turn out. Is this top 4?
This is top 4 indeed, I believe.
Wow.
Really amazing play from Klein at the start. Intentional blowout, by the way, so that he could fall back, because starting in 3rd on TF is a very bad spot to be in. Luke, I'm not going to connect.
Absolutely brutal.
The Bill, him pulling the Bill there, him blowing out was an ingenious play. The boxes, the way that TF has the boxes where the inside line is tightest, being in 3rd puts you in a really bad spot. So he just opted to not get a start boost blowout. It put him at the back. Him getting the Bill, like you said, incredible knowledge for the bagger. So Jazz was able to use that knowledge and know that he could hit the boxes when he needed to and not pull the Bill. So they coordinated. The POW dodge was the part that was the most impressive there. There was a POW. I don't know if that was a UK POW. I assume it had to have been, because they managed to coordinate it so that Klein was able to hold on to his Bill and then Luke obviously putting the Mega in that spot.
This is pretty nuts, to be honest, because like on the side of UK, right, when you look at their names on the roster, I think, you know, Klein is the player that stands out as the quote-unquote weak link on the team, right? But he is absolutely showing up at the game's biggest stage right now. Like, this is absolutely incredible play for him, balancing out the roster, living up to the expectations set by other players like Sean and Xander and Luke. Honestly, I love to see it. They're playing so well throughout this whole tournament.
Yeah. Actually incredible for Klein, because I think they themselves had some doubts about whether he was a good fit. I know, just talking about, I could probably, I don't even know if I'll make the lineup. So yeah, a really resounding victory just personally and also for the team as well.
I think the miscommunication as to you saying that they think Klein is the weak link is purely from like an outside perspective. If you look at the names purely from a namesake, you think, Sean, Luke, Xander, all these players that have lines and they're really fast. Right. And then you see Klein, think, Klein, well, not really a line driver. But in a setting like this, in a war setting where it all comes down to communication, team play, you know, taking out the other team, Klein has got so much universal knowledge that can be applied to every aspect of the game in both running and bagging. He's very versatile as a player.
Yeah.
Definitely not to be confused with that initial statement there.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, you have like a few kinds of top players, right? But, you know, like, there's not every player that's good is going to be a time trial bot or have like insane lines, but they don't need it. You don't need necessarily that to be good at the game. Of course, if you're playing at a top level, you're going to have solid lines, period. But some players play remarkably well, rack up their points by sheer lines alone. Others do it with a combination of that and their know-how to play around the pack, holding up items, etc. And Klein just happens to be one of those players that is able to do quite well at that. So we'll see how it translates for UK, Canada, Peach Gardens. A great reset pick. Great for Canada to get this pick. I mean, obviously we have to see still what the result of this race is going to be, but like to go, I mean, top 4, having, you know, bottom 4 in the race, there's certainly a lot worse of tracks that would guarantee awful spots for your team in the race after.
Yes, I don't know. Do we have an update on the bagging situation as to Jazz and Spark, who's winning that lead? Because I think Peach Gardens is just another track where if you have a chokehold on the top spots, just having that assurance, like knowing the Lightning's either in your control or knowing, you know, whether or not it's going to do massive damage. Because Canada's got a lot of the upper mid spots now.
It does seem like, at least if nothing else, Spark doesn't have the shock here. We'll see what it looks like going into the last turns. Just here.
Yeah, if we see a shock now, we're going to see it now from Team Canada. Otherwise, it's safe to assume either neither of them has it, or, you know.
Oh, that's so unfortunate that Red connecting with Trix there, as well as the POW being activated just before, means Trix is going to get an awful start to be able to stand still mini turbo and won't be able to recover that easily. Trix gets set from 2nd to 8th, and I think Jazz just, getting destroyed by that Red himself as well. Canada going from 2, 3, 4 before the the last item box. They are sent back, and it's going to be UK. I mean, they were winning before that race, and in just as easy and as quick as 3 races, we might see Canada going from a 15-point lead to a 30-point deficit.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate when you see these things happen, right? Especially with the POW. I'm interested in what you think the POW was, who used the POW, where did the POW come from? Because I think the POW drastically changed the end result there, because it caused, obviously, the Reds to be fired. Obviously, being POW'd in that mole section due to its reduced traction, very, very awkward, hard to recover from. Because I think I saw, what was it, Trix land on a fib almost, and then Jazz got redded and passed the cloud on the last turn. Kind of just falling apart there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I have to think, like, with how well and how cleanly UK is playing, I wonder if Canada having practiced more even would have made the difference. You know, like, the obvious weakness of Canada going into this was the lack of preparation in comparison to some of the other top teams, and it's hard to imagine them playing well enough to stop UK at the moment. It feels like UK just has such a distinct control over almost every single race. Canada looking a little sharper at the beginning of this than the previous war, but unfortunately, UK is just falling back to what they were doing in the last one.
I do want to say that they could be considered to be falling back to regular performance Canada, but I don't know. We still saw them playing well, playing at the front. Even in just that race alone, I don't think that this is more of game one we're seeing. I think what we're seeing, that POW, I don't know whose it was, but
apparently
it very well felt like it was Canada's POW, because they wanted to target POW Sean on the last turn, and unfortunately it just happened to be that Trix got redded just before he activated it. So Mikey, I think, ooh, nice snipe there coming from Sean as Canada trying to have some top spots here, but Luke holding a mega here. Yeah, I don't know. I would say Canada still are performing, at least for me personally, notably better than they did in game one.
Oh, they've definitely adapted without a shadow of doubt. Like, we even saw that on the N64 BC race there. And then TF, they had a good game plan, but unfortunately, with UK getting, complete dominance with the Bill and the Shock there, and Luke managing to pull the Mega in that position, just a massive game changer for UK.
So I do think, unfortunately, one of the first items I saw in Spart's corner was a Bill in 9th, and I actually see him with a Bill in 9th again right now. And on this track, you have no spots to just fall off and get rid of your item, so that pretty much means that Shock is almost guaranteed to be in UK's hands. Gonna come in at the very end, like during lap 3 for UK, and this race just distinctly in their control once again. I don't know. You guys said they adapted, dude, but they got top 4 like in this war.
True.
I feel like it's going. It's going pretty poorly. I say this as the Canadian fan here. I feel like this one's going worse at this point.
Okay. Well, MC3 race in hand, maybe, but.
I mean, you're talking about being all polite and the Canadian way, and now you're just spitting bars like this, man? I don't know, man.
I don't know. That's a top 3 for UK on that one. And Canada, unfortunately, is going to need a lot if they want to come back from not only this deficit, but to win the next one.
It seems to me that UK is just deciding the pace and just playing the game, and instead of Canada taking over and just being in control, they're the passenger carriage and they're just following along for the ride. They need to just take over and take control.
Now,
they're just playing UK's game at the moment.
I guess my clarification is that, in terms of result, it is not going as good. But the key difference from what we were seeing game one, what we were talking about, was Canada is only mitigating damage. Canada is responding to UK occupying those top spots for the majority of the match. That isn't the case here. That isn't the case, and maybe one of the races that was the case. But from every other race I've seen, Peach Gardens, MC3, up until a certain point, Canada is actually holding their own up there. And so I think that's worth distinguishing, if no one else, even just for Canada themselves, maybe just to themselves in the call. Because being in this space where you are trying to change up and obviously trying to change things for your team, after that result, it can be a little bit discouraging. Maybe they aren't able to see themselves like, hey, we were actually able to do well in the front. Maybe all they see is the result of it all and get discouraged. But I think that is important for Canada to note going into this Grand Prix.
I don't know where you'd want to take UK at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, what track pick would be good for you? I mean, we did see the Raceway pick from Team Canada in a previous war,
the total
right?
opposite of Raceway. I feel like going to DDR. This was Canada's pick, so they must feel confident, judging from the starting alternate positions, that they can get some front presence over UK here, because you can't be picking DDR without that confidence. Klein immediately getting triple shrooms, navigating his way to the front. Oh, unfortunately hitting Jazz's banana immediately, but Jazz with no protection, Sean might be able to take him out with this green. Jazz defending himself very, very well and keeping first place, and Trix taking Klein out. So this is going to be Canada's top 2, with Mikey also towards the front. Canada controlling the pace of this race so far. This is a good sign. And Shock in their corner. This is the best a race has looked for Canada, like, the whole war.
Yeah, this is a massive change from the general pace that we've been seeing over the past couple races now. But it's all obviously UK. This track very, very able to catch up due to the amount of shortcuts. Very, very fatal sections as well. If there is a POW coming from Team UK, that could very, very much end Canada as we know it. UK taking over in first now, but Canada still with all the mid spots. But they do need to get him out because of first having such a chokehold over the amount of points distributed among each race. Not entirely sure what UK can, what Canada can really do to get him out, other than Blue Shell.
Yeah.
Realistically speaking.
Happening off the screen, I think, was a random green that connected with Jazz, so that is not something that is too particularly in their favor. Shock is going to come out. Canada dodging in a bullet bill, so we'll see them moving up. But a blue.
Sean also dodged, though. Sean dodged in a higher spot in his star, and I don't know if that is actually that good for Canada in the end, because Xander was already so far in front, and Sean navigating his way to the front as well. And with no Shock in play in Canada in all the bottom spots, I don't know if this is going to be that good.
It actually might even be, top 2 for UK. Canada has seemingly 3, 4, 5. Jazz does get the triple shrooms to at least secure this, but I don't think they're going to pass anyone. Showed fourth for a second, but no, that will be them finishing off the race in 3, 4, 5. Mikey, maybe 7th, I think, but not the race you want to be seeing if you are a Canadian fan. I'll just say it, kind of pulling for them at this point if it wasn't obvious enough. They, this will be, as soon as I say races about mitigating, more one of those, more nothing that is really setting the tone for them. And unfortunate for Canada, we saw DDR picked last time on UK's behalf, and I don't think really Canada picked up on UK being a big fan of this one. Xander and Sean, their 2 go-tos, front run the hell. Well, Xander front runs the hell out of it. Sean makes his way up at some point or another. Sean
dodged along with Canada's Shock. There are 3 things I noticed there. That just Canada had control of the race there, and I think they let Xander being in first scare them a little bit to make them think like we need to get up there now. Sean being completely off screen, most likely doing the ultra cut and a star, since you can do that with triples, golden star, and mega. They probably didn't have any perspective on him, and they unfortunately dodged him in a higher position, like you said. But another thing that's really, really unfortunate, which literally is a coin toss, by the way, is Klein being shocked into boxes and pulling the blue shell. Really, really good for UK there, because Xander up front, Klein holding blue. UK already have the lead, right? They don't really need to worry about Klein getting a lower position. They can just secure first and get even more of those points as they need to break away.
I do think the way that race went sets a kind of a bad tone for the rest of the war, right? Because by the end of the first lap, it really felt like all the cards were in Canada's favor there. Like they had everything they needed to make that race good. Xander, unfortunately for them, finding himself in first, probably because of the ultra at the end of the first lap. But other than that, it really felt like that was the first race that Canada, had everything they needed to win, and it still didn't work out. So you have to wonder, going into like Moonview Highway and the rest of the war, what can Canada do to contest how well UK is playing right now?
Yeah, and I think that was just a matter, of execution, really. They had the tools you talk about that you generally like to see, at least in Shock in a first place. Of course, they lost first place pretty early on, but just still having second place. And they only somehow, worth noting, they seem to not be able to get another dodge beyond that. I think Tyler was the only real dodge for them, despite them having a good amount of bottom, or maybe not even bottom, but 5th, 6th, 7th. So unfortunate for them, really. I think it was just an execution, really, that it didn't come together, and they just have to keep their chin up, really, and hope that they can get the same kind of resources to do just as good. So we'll see how that pans out for them, of course. Second lap here. Just not doing too solid here in 7th place, not able to get the start they wanted here for Team Canada.
Yeah, this race in general not really playing out exactly how Canada needs it to. Moonview Highway being a bit more telegraphed than DDR in terms of the way that the races play out, unless you indeed get that shock that can be the all-important game changer. Spark not holding it though, So not looking too good in that regard with UK up top 2. They're going to need to pull out a blue shell or something, or a power, or just anything at this point.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not looking too hopeful here. Like, move you is such a polarizing track. Once you fall behind, it's just impossible to make moves happen and to shift the way things go without that use of the shock. But Luke holding on to that starring sixth, really dangerous if they are to use it anytime soon.
That
it's just looking like
is UK. I don't know if they got a top spot.
It's gonna either be something bad or something horrible.
I think that was another top 4.
Yes, that would be horrible.
That was another top 4.
It's either going to be something bad or something horrible. Like, we're either going swimming in the middle of the ocean.
No, it is.
Oh, dude.
Oh god.
Yeah, switching the perspective to Spark with the golden in that position made me fear for the worst.
Yeah.
Having the shot on Moonview and having that top 2 and having Luke in the star.
And what could even be said at this point? This is just so it's a little sad now, because like 2 top 4s after how bad some of the other races have been. This is such a deficit to play from. I think when you're in the second war and it's been going this poorly for such a long period of time, like over the course of the 2
That
events,
weighs on you.
It's hard to be mentally in it, man. It is even if you have all the experience in the world. I know Jas is like pretty good at keeping like mentality up when he's taking things super seriously. And I have to imagine it's just so hard to set a positive tone in the call at this point.
Yeah.
We're seeing the Luigi circuit coming out from Summer Team Canada already, so it seems like they're even willing to just put all their cards on the table.
Hey, I think it's still
I
think it's still a smart enough pick for them. Like, look, they've tried everything. I think they look at the DDR races having all the tools maybe, and it's still not going good for them. So maybe Luigi Circuit is the play for them personally, but it's
definitely over DK Mountain, which is what Team UK they seem to want to favour in this instance, which is where we're going. Unfortunate. So, I mean, okay, best case scenario, Spark gets the shock, Canada gets some mid-pack positions, they all group together, they get a dodge in the cannon, they manage to, Blues and Pal showing off the course, squash Luke in the downhill, they get a top 4. That will undo the damage of the previous race, but they still then have a bit more of an uphill battle to climb, unfortunately.
Dude, I have to say, with a cannon track like this and shock being so important, I was just watching Spark's perspective, and he had 10th at the beginning and clipped a turn, and Jas immediately found himself in 10th, just setting himself up for a really good bagging situation. Kind of contesting each other at the first set now. Nobody has gotten a box yet, but I think it's like little mistakes in the back when shock is like such a critical tool in the game. I really feel like, Spart, if he could be the one player to make a difference right now, if he could make sure that they have shock for the rest of the races, it would be so huge.
Yeah.
Like we saw on Move You Highway, that's just giving UK those top breaks and just having. I don't like this.
Yeah.
This is not what the doctor ordered.
No, they ended up getting, I mean, for DK Mountain, if you go forward, you have to get it at 9th, right? Or the bagger before you get it. And the Thundercloud is so not what you want to see if you're Team Canada after everything, especially, and that's just going to be him knocked on out of there. Why not? The Mega. Yeah, go ahead and add that too. I don't care. You already stabbed me. Why not twist it? Just
on this course, man, it is
and
just
a bomb and another bomb.
Two bombs.
I can't.
Disgusting.
This is actually disgusting.
Turn your game off. He's slowing down. I would use a much worse word right now if I could. I cannot believe this man. He's just deeper in.
That blue isn't going to do a single thing.
Blue in the air.
That blue isn't going to do a single thing.
In the air, let's go!
It's
top 4 by just a mile right now, and this is looking so bad for Canada, especially on this track. Klein might get past just because Pau, with his teammates in top 3, this might be like a weaker position to have it. But that's the best Canada can hope for at this point. And oh my goodness, this might be another top 4.
It's going to be
Yes.
another.
Oh no,
Yeah,
dude! Oh no! And here comes the blue. They wait. Nothing is gonna stop
Wait,
them.
that's it.
Oh.
So you're in Canada's position. You have that race on DDR where you've got top 4. You pull the shock, and you've got some vague control over the situation. But then that turns south. You're immediately followed with a top 4 on Moonview and a top 4 on DK Mountain. It started off better than the previous war. I stand by that.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like they had a much better chance at the start. BC64 went a lot better. TF was looking all right. But this is just really unfortunate. I don't really have much else
Shock.
I can really say.
Shock is just
Controlling everything.
It is. The thing is with that course is it's like they just got it in 9th too. Like the game just giving them the bit of favor they needed to in that regard. No grace really being showing to Canada by the MKW gods. None of that here. It will be UK dominating through and through, and I think we have what 100-point deficit now with 5 races left.
It's not impossible, and I know that I am biased, and you obviously think it's coming home, spice up your life, all that stuff.
It is done at this point. I don't know.
You really think so?
I
mean,
think
like,
it's done.
mathematically, no, but my biggest concern is possibly how Team Canada is taking it, possibly in the voice call as well, like where they're at. I mean, they're all just going Luigi. I mean, it's probably the best play. UK just pulling out all of the front run. They want Rainbow Road, another track with a cannon, very front run orient.
And you know what they get?
Rainbow Road. Why not? Well, you know what? Just give everything to the UK. You know what this means, right? It just means if push comes to shove, if Japanese versus UK happens, maybe UK will be lacking on the polls a little bit. Maybe they won't get as much if it does come to that.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say right now, man.
It's hard. It's difficult. I mean, I still think they should continue to give it their all, but the part that really burns is just UK just keep getting their tracks with top 4. That's just very, very bad. And I don't really know what Canada can do. Like, we saw in another race as well that Canada used the shock. They had UK in first, but a UK player, Klein, got shocked into boxes and just pulled the blue. They're either not getting any blues, or the blues they get is just too little too late, and they're just not doing anything. It's tricky. It's difficult.
It truly is, and I think what we see here is, yeah, Jazz, I think, getting bumped off or something of that regard. They are so far behind at this point. This track being so difficult to avoid those kind of situations that get you super far behind, and yeah, sometimes you're just unlucky to a lot of things. That Luke getting a little bit unlucky with a face to the fib.
No. It looks like they kind of slowed down on purpose. Oh, okay.
No.
You predicted the future again. Never mind. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, this POW, of course, can do damage, but it's probably not even needed at this point. Like, Canada having a majority of bottom spots, although they do have 2, I think, of the top 4 spots, maybe. I think just going by Klein and Luke having 5th and 7th. Yeah, Trix in 4th place, potentially Canada in 2nd place. So if that is the case, they maybe have recovered a little bit here.
4, 6, 7 is a very even spread, but Rainbow Road, you know, another track where red shells don't function. Very brutal POW spots. I mean, the POW didn't really do too much to Klein there. I don't think they did anything.
God. Lord, oh Lord. That is, what, the 3rd in 2 races I think we've seen?
Is that the man that pulled a bomb into a bomb on DK Mountain and then stopped on the bridge? I think it was, right?
It might have actually been him, yeah. And it might have been him who gets another bomb, actually. Let's see if he can get this bomb on Trix, actually. That'd be nice. He can add it to the montage.
Another bomb?
It's like I'm watching a phase montage, dude. It's just clip after clip, and you know what's crazy is just like I don't think it's necessarily because of like bias, having watched his perspective the whole time. Klein, the absolute MVP on Team UK this war. He's just absolutely devastating Team Canada in the back, and then still managing to score very well himself. This war has been absolutely in his favor and in his control. He's made such an impact on the game. This is Luke in 8th, I guess, rounding out. You know, UK finally getting a bad position. You know, apparently rare for them. We'll see how this race shaped up at the front. You know, this might have been a better, like an okay race relative to the last few for Canada. Yeah, 1-3 and 6-7. But at this point, you need way more than that to be able to come back from this. And Xander locking down a 50-57. Absolutely mind-blowing.
I think this is Canada's final lap, so to speak. You know, I think going into the tournament, talking about what they can do, what damage they can do as a team, they got the right lineup, right circumstances. Those right circumstances have not come together for them here. It's certainly not enabled by having to play UK, which some might argue the most dominant team in the World Cup right now. We've certainly heard from Wally, who has put forward the idea that UK can and will bring, I think, all the way home the World Cup title, and it's after their performance in group stage, certainly not something I would write out. But yeah, for Canada to play them round one, a bit of a rough draw if you're getting this team just barely together, the right lineup, just in the nick of time. If they played maybe a different team, I don't even know who, it could have been a different story, but UK, not so much.
It's difficult, right, being in this position. I mean, they got this far and they did this well, and they've managed to really put on an amazing show, especially in the previous seed. Very much enjoyed being a part of that specific commentary, but it just seems like UK have all the answers right now, and they're not really giving Canada an inch. And all Canada really needs is a couple of inches to make it happen, but it just seems that UK are pulling all the right items when they need it most, and they're able to run. And once you build up too much of a lead, it's just impossible to break it. Not sure whose track vote this was, BC. I don't know if you caught this. If this was a Team UK vote, possibly, or
I can't think it was a
Canada.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But that said, Joss, we do see in first, so maybe some good things coming in. Yeah, Luke running into the fire, so a good start for them. Now, with Luke here in 6, doesn't get a great item to really do too much damage there. And in the meantime, I think, Triple Reds. Oh yeah, back then, why not get a few players there?
Whoa! Locking someone down.
In the meantime, Smart in 10th place. Did, though, unfortunately get the bill. This track is interesting bagging in that, the strats used to go backwards might be more interesting if we can get a view of it later. Either way, Jazz in first place, still able to hold that down for now. Mikey in second as well. So, again, one of the few times that we are starting to see Canada in a solid footing here with some time into the race. And I think Canada's still holding down last place for the bagging match. So, things may be going a little bit better for them here.
A little stutter in Jazz's feet, but it's back in first place. I think this is... Oh, never mind. I thought this was better for Canada than it actually is. UK with every spot behind him. This has to be absolutely terrifying. Klein finds himself with another bomb. Yeah. Why does Klein have so many bombs?
It's just, I don't know. Maybe he's found a way to rewrite his game's code so that whenever he's in fourth, he just gets it. He just knows that it's necessary and it's needed. Really good track to have the bomb on, though, especially in his current position. He can, secure that 2-3, because let's face it, UK don't mind if Jazz gets first hit. If they secure everything else, it's still a solid win for them. So I think they're just going to run with that. He's holding on to the bomb, probably going to drop it somewhere much more devastating where it can't be avoided.
Oh, and the blue comes out for good.
Oh, man.
And the combo. Is this a UK top 3? Triple Reds, hopefully, to do some damage. This POW.
Oh, no.
He held the bomb all race. It was totally worth it, and that's going to secure the top 3.
Wow. That No words really for what.
It's hard. It's difficult, right? Like you're rooting for Canada. You want them to pull through, and they've got some situational advantages, like having Jas in first and Mikey. I think you have Mikey and Trix in like 4-5 in that position.
Yeah.
But then UK just playing efficient and smart, especially Klein with his item usage. You realize don't even need to use that bomb. Don't even need to do anything. Just hold on to it and just run it up.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, this is how much now? Let me check the
It was
score.
110 before.
I want to say if they top 4-9 every race from here on out, they might.
I don't know. I don't know if that's even possible.
Actually
Not even
don't know.
that.
It's a 137 difference.
It is
So
over.
What is?
It is over. Yeah, the most.
Okay,
I think the most he can win by is 41, or am I wrong? Is it 51? No, it's 51.
41.
No, 41, 41. Yeah.
41. So, hold on. Let's see if it's.
Mathematically,
I wanna know.
it is mathematically
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over. And so UK takes the dub against Canada, and unfortunately at this stage in the tournament, point differential just has no impact. Right? It doesn't mean anything anymore. Canada just gonna play this one out for fun. Maybe we'll see a little Luigi circuit as they've been trying to vote. Unfortunate turn of events, honestly, because I do agree with Tom in that this one started out better. It did look better at the very beginning, and then all of a sudden it just fell apart. I just don't even. I feel like I don't even know what to say.
That's the thing is like, I don't really know where to start in talking about attributing it. I mean, yeah, talking about the shock battle is probably where you'd start, but I don't know. There were just some things that went well at the beginning especially the beginning of the war. Canada seemed to be up there more, but I think as the damage started taking its toll, and still things kind of going in UK's favor with items, course selection. At some point, I think after race 5, race 6, we stopped seeing Canada as much up there. Really tough to fight that.
I actually have a question for Tom. Now that we can kind of take a step away from the race itself. I was just thinking about this. Some of the most prestigious tiers of all time are Canadians, and I'm not saying they should have necessarily been subbed in or put on this team by any means, but I'm just curious if players like Joshua, Cole, King, Alex, did they ever have Wi-Fi versus experience, or have they always been TT only?
Cole, back in the day, did play in Clan Wars almost exclusively. So he was a primal front for Team Evil, if you remember them. Back in the day. So Cole, absolutely, if he carried on playing online, but I think since the servers went, I don't think Cole's had much of an online presence, if at all. The likes of Joshua, King Alex, I don't think they really play much online, if at all. So, yeah, it's hard to say. But Cole, absolutely, definitely, if he has retained his online skill from back in the day, then definitely has a very, very good chance of being a potential candidate on Team Canada. But with Sean continuing to play online, I don't think Cole did. Yeah. Cole's been more interested in being held hostage by Luigi Circuit. If I've anything to deduce from that.
In the meantime, we did see Mikey actually getting blue shelled somehow. I don't know how he got up there, but I think there was a Canada shock that came out and dodged maybe a lot of their middle spots. Now it's UK, I think, maybe holding on the top 2. Somehow first place. We just saw Canada in first, and then what just happened to you, Luke? I don't know what happened. Give Trix a second. Why not?
Woo! I love half pipes. Do you like half pipes?
Apparently Luke doesn't.
Yeah. Dude, half pipes on the nunchuck. Let's go.
Big fan.
So I'm wondering, man, what do you guys think? Now that we've seen it, now that we've watched this best of 3, and UK kind of cleanly 2-0 a team as powerful as Canada, what do you guys? Do you think anybody can really stop them? Who can stop this team playing like this?
I mean, Japan might be able to, honestly.
You really think so?
The thing is, bagging disparity is definitely something to be noted. Jazz is just insane, right? But the running power from Japan, top to bottom, can be really intimidating. We saw them really come to life against Latin America, and like their 4 players just unshackling themselves from anything they were holding back before. And I don't know. I mean, I think, yeah, if you really put a gun to my head, UK probably takes that still, but maybe Netherlands is the team to do it, honestly. I don't know. It's tough to say. It really is at this point. I don't know who's going to be able to best UK, just given the form they are showing currently.
I think with that in mind, the most exciting possible outcome to the whole World Cup, the best possible way it could end, is Netherlands-UK finals. Netherlands beats UK somehow. And I think that would be absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
but I
would
don't
be.
think that's going to happen, but it would just be like a legendary comeback story from a team. Netherlands, like not nearly as flashy of a lineup as UK, but if they can somehow find a way, I didn't even expect them to make it to semis, so it's like they've already made it further than I thought. UK starting this one off in top 2. Sean primed for a 60 potentially. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's difficult to commentate knowing the stakes. Obviously, we already know that it's game, set, and match at this point. We're just kind of playing this one out for fun. What?
We see Jas giving a shout out to just plugging himself in his social in the bottom right. I like it.
And yeah, I'm down. Yeah, everybody follow Jas on Twitter at Jas_MB. Give the boy a shout out. He's provided some really good gameplay. Like, that's the most important thing to take from all of this. Like, even though UK have kind of, you know, unfortunately in this war put Canada in the washing machine and given them a bit of a run for their money, like all of Team Canada definitely have played relatively well. We've seen some really, really good plays from them as a team. It's just the UK just have such a grasp on this. And like you mentioned, like the amount of practice that Canada has had as opposed to the UK, it's hard to not ignore it, you know? Like you can't realistically say that they've had similar preparation leading up to this with, you know, like Mikey being MIA in the lineup and them just not having as many scrims, whereas UK obviously doing a lot more of that. Just gives them more chance to refine their teamwork and their strategy. I'm just scared, dude. I just feel like Klein's just playing battle mode right now. Yeah, you know, like you got Luke, you got Sean, Xander, all just doing the you know, like the online TT with the occasional item usage, and then you just got Klein just with the bombs and the megas and the reds. He's just doing demolition derby where he's at.
Dude, what I used to do, like in Double Dash when I was a little boy, oh no, Jess, was play bomb battle mode with 4 controllers and just like throw and like make as big of explosions as possible in that like bomb battle mode that they had. And this just reminds me of that. Like that's the game that Klein is playing right now.
Yeah, he just give you a run for your money, man. I don't think you didn't stand a chance. Like you on 4 controllers on 1, it'd probably be a whitewash, like 10-0, dude. And calling it. I'd bet some money on that.
But I am certainly just in his corner. For those just tuning in, if anybody is getting here late in the game, UK is about to wrap this up 2-0. Canada, unfortunately, not able to come back from the current deficit in this war. And this pretty much, I think we have, where are we at? Do we have 1 race left to go?
One race,
yeah. And this last war will wrap it up for the quarterfinals. And we had a lot of interesting matches. I think, surprisingly, the closest match being USA East Norway. I guess like it does make sense.
No, hold on.
Norway is gonna win more.
No,
hold on.
No, I would say still US West and Netherlands was the closest one by far, even though it was 2-0.
Because I was thinking of 2-1s, right?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that was a 2-0, but holy shit, that was 369 to 363.
Yeah,
both
wars
times.
in a row.
When
Wars
do
in
you
a row.
see that? When do you see that ever? And
I thought it was really funny. Someone posted in like the general channel of the server last night, and they were like, "I think you guys typoed the like graphic," and we're like, "No, that actually happened."
yeah, like I Control V a little bit too many times. No, that did not happen, and I'm really looking forward to revisiting that. Just that VOD, honestly, which has been, you know, not at all points did it feel even the most close. It only felt close maybe in certain points of the match, but man, was it a back and forth affair. But yeah, we've seen some really close matches throughout this round, throughout the World Cup. Obviously, this being maybe the least closest of them so far. But it happens really at some point of this tournament. Certainly the quarterfinal is the more likely one. But what we are more likely to see here, if nothing else, UK running the show here, and maybe running a show in the semifinals. It's a good question. Can Japan really give them a run for their money? But maybe the question at hand we can focus on just for now, Canada and their kind of swan song for the World Cup. It's going to happen on Waluigi Stadium. Can you win the last race? There shows something here for the red and white. Or was that Luke's red? I don't know myself, but it will be Luke falling back to the bottom spot.
Reds on the hub there like to chill out a little bit, take the slow lane. Unfortunately, couldn't really see with the blooper in his face, but not too big of a deal. I mean, like, Canada's vote selection was a bit all over the place. We had a Luigi circuit, a Mario circuit, a Waluigi Stadium. I think they all just voted something completely different. You know, obviously giving it their last showing here. Because effectively, you don't really want to go here, especially with UK doing the running strat. But I think Trix just wants to, you know, have a little bit of fun while he's at it still.
I also think Spart does not have shock. In fact, Jazz is confirmed to have shock, if I saw that correctly. We'll see what the use of it will be. It won't be a target shock, it seems, for now. Jazz at a pretty comfortable spot, though. You like being in first 2 shrooms, but I only wonder how much longer will that really last for. But yeah, we'll see really if UK are able to use this shock and be able to show it to Canada one last time. This is how you're able to play a track. This is how you're a team, is not through not getting shocked. That's surely the case, but maybe even a target shock to finish this one up. We do have Klein filling a little bit of that last turn there, also getting bananaed by Trix at the end. And maybe it will be Klein here, 4th place. Canada top 3. Will it be? No, it will not. Canada getting sent on back. Why not? They are able to salvage still 1 and 3, but probably the most telegraphed of plays, and Canada not really able to do too much about it without having a dodge.
Whew! Well, that about wraps up, you know, this stage of the tournament. We're all done now. UK cleanly beating Canada 2-0. A little less close than a lot of us expected, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. We are going to be able to have a little UK interview and maybe a Canada interview potentially as well. I think we're going to have Xander and Klein join us shortly to talk about UK's win and hopefully ask them a few questions about how they feel about the rest of the tournament now that the scope of the event is so limited. We only have a couple teams to really focus on at this point. With that one, any final notes on what we just saw before we get these guys in here?
I mean, what can
Good
really
games
say?
for both teams.
Yeah.
Brilliant showing. Like, obviously not the showing that we wanted. Even though I am Team UK always, I definitely did have my heart out for Canada during many parts of that. A lot of lip-biting moments where I'm just thinking, no game, don't give Klein his 8th bomb in a row. He doesn't need it. They're already in 4th. But honestly, massive shout-outs to them for sticking it in for so long, keeping it up. But yeah, I honestly think UK probably have what it takes to take it all the way home. Spice up your life.
Hashtag spice up your life indeed.
Hashtag spice up your life.
This is at this point, I gotta say it is indeed coming home. We're gonna cut to the analyst desk real quick to let them go over that war. Cut to some replays, and then we'll bring it back here for an interview. So just a few minutes, and we'll be right back.
All right. Well, that was quite the one-sided second match that we saw. Wally here, joined by Jake. Jake, what did you see
Hello.
there?
Well, I just saw UK just managing to just continue their dominating presence in up front and using their items just really, really well. They just outplayed Canada across the board, and it was a really dominant performance.
Yeah, it was going to be 40. I forgot to mention that there was a 1 in front of that 40, and I was right on the money at 140.
Yeah.
So, very dominant from UK. Couple things to note that really kind of stood out there. TF to start, you know, Spart was sitting in the back the whole time, not really allowing any Canada members wanting to go for the fill, but Klein ends up pulling it in the one box that he hits in 9th, and then UK does end up pulling the shock there. So by being able to just kind of stay safe for that entire race, we had Klein moving all the way up through the pack and then dodging on lap 3 along with Sean and just taking over the rest of the way there.
Yeah, not to mention as well, a Mega coming out from Luke at that point. And this was when the war just really started just going on a landslide. One thing to note as well, UK did have a coordinate a power dodge to make sure that Klein kept his bill on TF.
Yeah, and that was big on the last ramp of, I think it was lap 2, right?
Yep. So that was good. And as we see here on Moonview Highway, what happened here? Just let me get my notes again. Oh yeah, so pretty much here, UK just holds the top spots that they kept from the last race. And, you know, Luke, he pretty much just holds the star. Like we saw Klein do in the first match, Luke just holds his dodge for the whole race, with the UK holding the top spots. And yeah, like at the end, this is a good use of shock where you just wait for your team to finish and then you use your dodge and just get those few extra points in the bag.
Again, that is the luxury of having control of those top spots. You can just kind of take a couple of points there at the end when you already have the whole control of the top spots. And then DKM, we see that, you know, it was just very dominant top spots and cannon dodging from UK and just able to lock down top spots. And
this
Jazz
right
unfortunately
here,
pulls a TC at the end. It's like deja vu. This is exactly what happened in the last war. I mean, they're top spots and Jazz pulls a TC, and I think it was in 5th in the last one, and they were holding top 4 already. And this time he pulls it in 4th and is unable to pass the Klein, so another top 4 going in for UK.
Honestly, there were a lot of times in this war where Jazz he just pulled TCs, and it was like, at that point it was nailed in the coffin for Canada, right? Because we just saw a lot of, you know, UK holding those top spots, and Jazz being the only one to kind of pressurize, but then he just gets the TC, and sorry.
And
oh, I've just been told off.
yeah, that was something that we noticed a lot. I felt was Team Canada pulled a lot of TCs, and you can attribute that to, you know, a little bit of being unlucky and a little bit not doing enough to get to the front and maintain those top positions. And when you have a situation like that, you know, it's going to be really hard to be able to pass those unless you're looking behind you, because you're not going to gain a lot of ground on the people in front of you. And unless you pull a Mega after that, if you're in 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th, or a Star if you're also in 7th, you know, your race is in jeopardy, and your team is just going to fall farther and farther behind. So very unfortunate on the side of Team Canada. One other big thing to note is Klein had some very big items going his way. A lot of triple shooms in 4th, a lot of triple shooms in 5th, Megas in 4th and 5th, and then a lot of bombs, which he was able to use very effectively, and being able to just really extend the leads for Team UK. And I also saw him get triple shells a lot around in those positions and just making sure that he was driving through Canada members, not just quickly, but, you know, slowly and effectively to ensure that they're getting hit by it, as to combo on top of Team Canada already getting hit beforehand. So Klein doing a great job in that schlagging position and still having some good items to help himself catch back up. Any other big notes from your end there, Jake, on items that you saw as far as distribution there?
I mean, we've pretty much covered most of it. The major points, at least, as we saw, you know, Klein was doing really well with like the slagging position that he was in, just allowing, you know, Luke, Xander, and Sean just to do what they do best, you know.
Yeah, really
and
playing to the
pretty much
strength
time
of the
trial
team.
forces.
Yeah. So,
And,
any other big predictions off this going in? Do you think UK set up for success moving forward with how they played? Do you think that they should make any sort of substitutions moving forward, or do you think this is kind of a really solid lineup that they should look to keep using?
Honestly, I think based on what I've seen today, they're pretty much set. Honestly, like it's going to be very, very difficult for any of the other teams to manage to overcome this team. If they play the way that they have tonight, then I'd say that they're very much in contention to come
absolutely.
away with the World Cup win.
Yeah, they looked really great, and I'm really excited for the UK versus Japan match next weekend.
That's going to be very, very exciting. I'm excited to see whether Japan's like frontal prowess and everything, because we saw they had good team play last week. We can see if that kind of can counteract UK's play this week. So yeah, it's going to be a tough match for both teams, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, we actually have an interview about to happen. So we're going to send it back to the casters. So thank you guys and enjoy the interview.